Oh, Russa, dude.
Getting high energy there. We'll talk about this in a bit, but watch using bubbles for energy if you're already high energy.
Oh, okay.
It ends up just kind of wasting the bubble if you're already like 90%.
Right.
So, we're going to talk probably a lot about energy management, but make sure that in between fights that you're looking to maintain your energy, because we ended the fight with like 100, and then
Yeah.
by the time the fight began, because we didn't do anything to maintain it, we started it at 0, right? So if you
Right.
just push forwards a little bit and just look to get a bubble in, then you can maintain it and keep it really high, because it's much more convenient to come into a fight at high energy than it is to start at 0.
Oh, okay.
Nice bubble. Big grab. Nice plays.
Damn, I should have bubbled him. Oh, fuck.
Yes, unfortunately.
I should have tried to hold off.
Very nice. For a moment I thought your team wasn't going to follow up, but
Yeah.
I think that what worked in your favor was the Reinhardt like just ran in rather than in the grab.
Right.
If he like stayed there with the grab, then probably wouldn't have gotten as much value out of it. Okay, honestly, quite a roll of a game. You did very good. There's like a lot of pros to your gameplay there in terms of like you tended to notice like teammates who needed bubbles. When you wanted to get energy, you got energy, right? Like you didn't struggle to get energy. Many Zarya players just like don't understand how to get energy or maintain
Yeah.
it. There may be like a few things with maintaining that could energy that could improve. Like I said before, like make sure that when and you could by the way, we don't that was a pretty much a roll, so you can just hop into another game. We don't have too much to
Oh,
go
perfect.
over
Perfect.
in between here, but just queue up and then we'll talk for a bit. But
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
like with your bubbles, just make sure that when you're full energy, or like high energy, right? So this is usually around the range of like 80% plus. Don't look to use your bubbles just for energy, because then at that point it just kind of wastes it. Because if you can get 40% out, I'm spectating by the way. If you can
Sure.
get 40% max out of it and you're only getting half that, it's not really worth it. So you want to at that point be looking to exclusively save your bubbles for tanking purposes, right? Somebody's
Right,
low
right.
end needs it, somebody's getting pinned, like right, somebody needs it for the protection. Go ahead and use it, and then that will just like slowly keep it up. But you don't want to just waste it by using it when it's not needed. Same thing with like, and I think we already had plenty of time to talk about the maintaining in between rounds. That was like another thing. Besides that, yeah, I think you for the most part understood when to use your left click versus right click. That was pretty good. Make sure you're not reloading when you could actively be shooting at people. There's maybe like a time or two where you reloaded when you had like half ammo. Right,
Okay.
kind of thing. Keep pushing when you got bubbles. Don't back up around the corner.
All right.
Back up around the corner that they can't see you. Unfortunate. Yeah, so first bubble we didn't get enough energy out of. Second bubble was good. Third bubble we got it good. I liked how you're using cover, though you are kind of playing behind your team, which is the problem there. If you see that your whole team is pushing forwards, then maybe you can look to keep pressure with them. Bubble. Lots of good cover usage. So yeah, move for cover like a hair too late because I think you were expecting a bubble to last, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So just moving for cover a little bit sooner. Besides that, that's unfortunate also that Orisa got pulled up in the air. While you're walking back from spawn, if you actually right-click the ground, you have faster move speed. So right-click your feet and jump with it. It'll increase your it'll increase your move speed. And it'll just damage you slightly, but you'll recover it.
Oh man, I thought that was gonna be a background. Oh. Shit.
So, when you're going for grabs, you need to make sure that either your team's able to follow up with you, and if your team's not able to follow up with you, you need to make sure that you're able to do it all on your own. Which part of that means probably needing high energy, which you did not. that was probably the big thing there, is that you were doing it out of LOS of your whole team, and you didn't have high energy, right? So you need one or the other.
Right.
Good target priority going for the backline.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep. Exactly that. That's like that gives you increased moves to come back from spawn. Tried to cut it
Yeah.
off. Oh, through the cracks. Oh, dang, that sucks. What? I forgot to check. What rank are you again?
I am on tank.
Yeah,
Plat 5.
+5 to 1. Okay, I got you.
Go, my friend.
Oh, if it's fortunate, you just didn't have teammates touch it in time. Yeah. Before pushing into that, probably want to just check the distance the rest of your teammates are from point, because I think that they were maybe just a little too far to make that like too close for comfort. Yeah, they're just like pushing really, really hard. Once Arissa ulted, maybe could have backed off with it, but because you pushed so hard, you just got mowed down by all the ults they chucked at you. Whereas if you played it safe, you may have gotten to just push in after all the ults.
Right.
Make sure to use bubbles when people are actually looking at you. They're not looking at you, they can't damage you.
Right.
And it's not, and also it's not just looking, but you want them to be shooting at you, right? So looking
Right.
means shooting.
Oh. I was just about ready to teleport too.
Yeah, but
Oh.
Optical cannon online.
Unfortunate. All right. Gotcha. Would we even have enough time? All right. Maybe it might just be time to go over stuff.
Okay.
And then hopefully we don't get dry for content the last couple of minutes. I think we should.
Yeah,
be able to.
absolutely.
I think we should be able to. If we really need to, we could hop into something quick. All right. So, we'll go over a couple of things here. Firstly, like, yeah, just that movement speed thing. Like, if you just jump with it, it just does increase your movement speed. It just does a little bit of damage to you, which will heal because of heal passive and because of your shield health. So that's just a small thing. Plus, you can use it to actually traverse the playing field and get you like high grounds and stuff like that. Right, so it's just a pretty handy tool to know how to do. Right, I can do kind of do this as well and do like parkour with it and
Right.
do that kind of stuff. You know. So besides that, let's see other things on Zarya. I mean, we already kind of talked about like a lot. We talked about a lot of bubble usage kind of things, and bubble usage is really important because bubbles on Zarya is how you get energy. Energy is how you get damage. Damage is how you get both kills and ultimates. Ultimates is how you get more kills, and kills is how you win fights, and fights is how you win games. So, and more energy usually means your ability to do more things. So
Right,
getting
right.
energy is very important, maintaining is very important, but then also once you gotta know how to use it and things like that. There were just a couple times like, but you'd bubble when like everybody's facing that way and be like, well, no one's looking at you, buddy. Right? Or just watch the like standing here for a second and then backing around the corner, right? Don't do that. Make sure that you're careful. There's just a couple times where, like, even though you had like the Orisa looking at you, you noticed that the Orisa was very quick to stop shooting at you. So you had to
Right.
catch her you have to catch her very early, or don't even bubble at all, and you need to bubble when either more people are looking at you and shooting at you, or like you had a lot of success usually when the Reaper was like pushing in and getting very aggressive, right? So just looking to adapt and that kind of thing. So that's a lot of bubbles. Let's see, very, very, very minor thing, and then we'll move on to something more than that. But just fun fact, your grab travels the exact same path as your right click. So if you ever want to go for a long range grab, you can just throw a right click out for
Oh, holy shit! Nice.
it. Not that that's usually practical.
Yeah.
just a fun tip.
Yeah.
Then let's talk about aggression scaling, I think, because there may be like a couple times during your game where like sometimes you'd push just a little too hard. I think usually you weren't too passive. Maybe, I guess there were like maybe a few times where you're just a tad wee bit passive, right? So just like
I'm usually more aggressive.
yeah. So like just like understanding the like when do I push, when do I back up?
Mhm.
And that usually comes down to aggression scaling. So let me send you, I haven't used this one in a little bit. Let me send you a picture real quick over on Discord.
Okay.
All right. This is my rough little chart here called aggression scaling. Aggression scaling is a it's a tool. It's a way of looking at your aggression to understand it better. Excuse me. So with aggression, you have to understand that there is a scale, and on this scale, there's 0 to 100%. At 0% is super passive, you're just running away. 100% is super aggressive, you're just sprinting into them. And neutral, where you're just kind of you're not running away, you're not pushing in, you're just kind of there in the fight, and you're just trying to exist till something happens, right? And you're just doing your normal thing, normal starting position.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now you will usually come into the fight starting at your neutral, your 50%, because nothing has happened yet to make you go up or down the scale. So you come in and you're not sprinting in, but you're also not running away. You're just standing there, and sometimes that might mean pushing a little bit and then backing and pushing and backing and kind of going with the ebb and flow of the fight.
Right.
Now, you will go higher on the scale, you'll go up the scale with advantages and opportunities, and you'll go down the scale with disadvantages, a lack of resources, and danger. Advantages versus disadvantages are pretty cut and dry. I mean, there's a lot of them, but they're pretty obvious in that advantages and disadvantages. Very obvious one is kills. So kills and deaths, right? If
Right.
your
Right.
team is up a person, go from
Mhm.
50 to 60. You're up 2 people, go up to 70, maybe even 80, right? You're up
Mhm.
3 people, maybe even go 90, 100, right? You just scale up with your kills. Disadvantages, same thing on the disadvantages, right? You're down a person, maybe you go down to 40%. You're down 2 people, oof, maybe that's like a 30 or 20. Down 3 people, that might be a lost fight at that point, so maybe that's a 0,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So going up or down the scale, but there's also a lot of other things, and that gets into the more advanced aspect of advantages and disadvantages, is that there's
Like
tons of other
abilities and
things.
ultimates.
Yeah, so which team has more abilities in ultimate and is using more abilities in ultimates? Which team has more health? Which team has better positioning? Which team has
Yep.
closer spawns? Tons of things, different things like that, right? That
Yep.
will impact the fight. Then opportunities are going to be things like you have grav, right, to use, so you can just run an
Right.
ult. Is there somebody who's low, somebody who's out of position that you can go and capitalize on for a kill? That kind of thing, right?
Right.
Opportunities, usually you can push forwards real quick to try to capitalize on the opportunity, and then you get value out of it. Lack of resources. Resources are going to be things like your bubbles or other tanking abilities, going to be your health bar or movement abilities or things like that, right? So key staying alive abilities and health are going to be your resources. And if you have resources, you don't be like, oh yay, I have bubbles, I can sprint in and jump in the middle of their team, right? That's not how that works.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily go, or you're not like, oh yay, I'm full health, I can jump into the middle of their team, right? It's resources don't send you up the scale. Usually they just keep you at your neutral or maybe a little bit higher than neutral. And then if you don't have them, that sends you down the scale, right? So if you're 1 HP, now you have to play really passive and be at like a 0 around the corner so that you can get health recovered. Right? Or if you don't have bubbles, maybe that's not as low. Maybe you're like a 30, but you have to play on cover and not push in and just play passive. Danger is going to be things that anything that's dangerous, right? Like
Right.
ultimates, abilities, like things like that. And that kind of goes to that one time where we were like pushing into the danger, right?
Yeah.
You were and that's not always bad, but a
Right.
lot of times it's bad because if they're like chucking 3 ults at you and you're running into it and your team's not running into it, then you've just cut yourself off from your team and you're going to be in the middle of 3 ults. So danger usually means run away, wait it out, try to escape it.
Right.
Because then you will take less damage and you won't die. Aggression scaling is all about balancing the doing things while also not dying, because
Okay.
if you die then you can't do things, but if you are always sitting back and spawn, then you're not going to be able to do anything either, right? So you have
Right.
to this is the balance between go and do stuff versus not dying so you can do more things. um
Right.
Note a few extra things here for the scale. Note that this scale can sometimes be very one-noted, where you come into the fight and you're winning, so you just stay at 100% for the next 20 seconds and you're staggering them, so maybe you stay at 100% for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Right.
Or
Right.
or you could come into a fight and this changes very quickly, where you come into the fight and you're at 50 and then you see, oh my goodness, their tank is 1 HP, so you push forwards and get to 100% to go kill them.
Mhm.
And then you get melted by their entire team in an ultimate, and now you're at 1 HP and you have to back up and run away and you're 0 and you have to go to your 0. So you just went in the course of like a second from 50 to 100 to 0. And that's how it works sometimes. So you have to be ready for it to change at a moment's notice and just be ready to go with the ebb and flow. Note that all of these different things will be interacting with each other all at the same time. And that's where you have to have a lot of awareness and paying attention to your surroundings, because it's not just like, oh, yay, there's one advantage on the field. It's going to be there's this many advantages and this many disadvantages. There's 2 people up, there's 3 people down. You have more health, they have more abilities. You see an opportunity, but they're also throwing an ult out, and you don't have one of your bubbles, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of different things, and you'll get better at paying attention. I mean, you have been playing the game for a while, so you're probably already decent at this just without paying attention to it. Now
Right. Right.
this is how you pay attention to it, and this is how you can improve at it. Really quick before we wrap up, application. You will apply all of these things in whatever you're trying to work on by actively focusing on the thing that you're trying to work on. So this, you will work on it by making sure you come into the game and thinking to yourself, aggression scaling, aggression scaling, aggression scaling, aggression scaling, 0 to 100, 0 to 100, neutral, 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 advantages, disadvantages, advantages, disadvantages. And you're giving yourself that just constant reminder to think about it. And when you're thinking about it, you'll be better at it. And when you're better at for an extended period of time, you'll form it as a positive habit. And then you'll be able to that'll be improvement. And then you move on to the next thing. And just overall, just try not to overwhelm yourself by doing too much. Do one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category.
Okay.
Any final questions on anything here?
No, I think no, I think that was pretty helpful. I think there's quite a few times where I end up being like, I think that I tend to be a lot more aggressive in
Yep.
general than ever passive. So I think the aggression scaling part, like I'll say it this way. I tend to try and go with the way that my team is playing. And I think, especially as a tank player, with it going from 2 tanks to 1, it's really difficult sometimes to, like, I'm trying to push, I'm trying to make a move, I'm trying to make a play, and the rest of my team is, like, really passive. They're playing like around 40, 50, and when it should really be for us to be doing like 80 or 90.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, a lot of my games, like especially ranked play, I have a hard time playing with that more passive play style, especially since I feel like aggression is everything. Like when like coming out and sealing a kill or 2 on the team. And I think what loses me fights is, like, if they're playing way too passive, I basically try to, like, get them to be aggressive by going in. And it's works sometimes where they'll like they'll get a couple picks and we'll win a couple fights. But then, like, if we lose 1 or 2, they revert back to how they feel, and I end up losing the game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So, a couple things within that is that sometimes playing passive is actually how your team comp is supposed to play. For example, like the primary team composition that wants to play passive is spam composition, or maybe you've heard it as poke. It's long-ranged compositions tend to want to play passive because they do more damage from further away than the other team, and they play for those picks and those damage. So that's just one thing of note, is just think about that fact that some teams do like to play passive and during the fight, or more accurately, they like to play slow, and then you speed up as you get the kills, as in the picks. So that's one thing of note. But then also, you are right. You want to make sure that you're checking and not just sprinting without your teammates. That's why I usually recommend as a tank, like, look behind you before you're pushing. There are a lot of times where you would push without looking behind you, and you wouldn't be able to see what your team was up to. Like that, when they're all the way back here and you push, you might want to wait a second for them to come with you, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it is.
I do notice I do that.
Yeah. So you're right. It's kind of a hard balance, but you kind of need to find that balance between, like, getting them to you want to try to help them play at the right speed. So you need to, 1, know what the right speed is, and 2, be doing the right speed yourself, and you also don't want to be pushing them without your teammates. But if you have, like, a massive advantage, usually you can push. So you just want to be careful. Like, if you can be playing at 100 and your team is not, and your team's at, like, for whatever reason, like a 20, then maybe you don't go all the way to 100. Maybe you compromise and you play to, like, 70 or 80, right?
Right.
Just, like, toning it back depending on what your team's doing, right? Like, your team is another kind of aspect of the scale, though I haven't really fully implemented in, like, where that kind of fits in. But your team definitely does impact it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's pretty much about it. Sorry, I these 30-minute sessions are so hard to like handle shoving so much content in. I didn't
Yeah.
really get to give you like what you need to work on. I usually do that review, but we've kind of run out of time. Really
Right.
quick, work on Gravs didn't. I guess Gravs needed. Gravs are like a low to medium. Primarily just make sure your team's there, or you can get it yourself.
Okay.
Bubbles maybe like a medium, but you usually did pretty good with it. They're probably around the same ish.
Okay.
And then positioning was like a low to medium. Awareness and aggression, that was like a that was probably more like a higher end of a medium priority for you to work on. And
Okay.
then finally like mechanics wasn't really too much mechanics. I don't think that was really a category much to work on. So big one was that was the awareness / aggression. Then after that probably comes let's see, probably ability usage, and then ult usage, and then positioning.
Okay.
Alright, I think that's about it. Let me